Hello, welcome to another episode of Mega Manga Monday. I am Jason Han, and today we are talking about Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 188, Tokyo Colony number 2. Tokyo number 2, Colony 7. Boy, we're picking up right where we left off. We're continuing the fight with Hakari versus Kashimo. I am Jason Han, and I am a writer for ScreenRant.com. I happen to write a lot of video game news, but I'm a huge manga fan. So we decided to start Mega Manga Mondays to talk about the series that we like to read and get a lot of joy out of every week. Jujutsu Kaisen is a great fun series so far, and we got some stuff to talk about in this new chapter. So I brought some other Screen Rant buddies with me who happen to write for the comics section, and it's definitely worth checking out. But I'll go and let them introduce themselves. Ben, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm Ben. I write for Screen Rant for the comic section. Big manga fan, big superhero comics fan, so I write mainly about manga and DC and Marvel comics. And Jujutsu Kaisen's one of my favorite sort of modern series, so I'm excited to dive into this chapter.
Yeah. This fight's been going on a little while, and it keeps on going. But
Well, maybe not anymore. I mean, I
yeah,
have my own theories about it, but
yeah, right.
Steven,
Yeah, Steven, how are you, man?
introduce yourself first.
My name's Steven. I write for the comic side, mostly writing about manga, but also delving into Beast Wars, Transformers, and especially Sonic. And actually, next week, IDW is hitting their monumental 50th issue. So next week is a good day for Sonic fans. But today we are talking about Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm very excited about it.
Are you? Okay, good. Because I know in our last discussion, it felt like some of us were kind of losing steam in this section of Jujutsu Kaisen. This fight's been going on a while. We feel like Hikari's powers have been explained pretty well. Last discussion, we kind of came up with the fun theory of what would happen if Hikari lost here. Kashimo would kill him with the ridiculous powers, and then because they want to fight Sukuna and other strong enemies, they could absolutely make the rule themselves to travel between domains, or the culling game orbs that they're stuck in right now, which we thought was a pretty exciting way to move the story forward. And it could still happen, but I guess we have more of this fight to go on. The last couple chapters, we've seen Hakari enjoying the benefits of his domain expansion jackpot, and he's been essentially unkillable. But Kashimo is just one of the most powerful sorcerers that we've seen in the series so far. Like, even though Hakari is invincible right now, and he's been invincible for, I think, he's had a few rolls, and the invincibility lasts for like 4 minutes. So this fight has been going on for like 10 to 20 minutes in the Jujutsu Kaisen world. And Hikari has gotten not a lot of major hits. Like he's definitely scored a couple punches against Kashimo here and there, but Kashimo has literally exploded parts of Hakari and gotten several fatal hits so far. So this Kashimo's kind of a tough customer. But this fight kept on going, and Kashimo got a couple more good hits, and things were not looking good for Hakari. But before we dive into the ending of the chapter, what's stuck out for you guys about this one?
All you, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that really slapped me in the face right away was the opening with the song. Uh, that was just such a fun thing to show. It really, I think, shows that like AA is just having a blast writing this, right? Like that was just, or at least I believe it's the song for Akari's thing, unless Gege just wanted to try his hand at poetry.
Right.
But it was just so fun seeing that, and it just set the tone of the chapter very well, I think, because it's still sort of a playful fight until the end, but it's still pretty playful throughout. So
Yeah, I mean, when you have two characters like this who are just, some of the strongest fighters the world has ever seen, who are just enjoying a good fight, especially Kishimo. That's pretty much their character trait that we know about so far, is they just like to fight strong people. But Hakari, I did really enjoy some of the panels in this chapter with this fight, like them pretty much playing catch with a shipping container.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And using the edge of a shipping container to rip off their opponent's face.
Brutal. Because I'm no shipping container enthusiast. I don't know how heavy these things are, but getting hit in the face with a giant steel door, yeah.
It's probably not good for your health.
No, we got Gege's amazing talents in drawing body horror, and we get to see a nice. We get to see the underskin of Hakari's face, which he quickly heals.
Somehow.
Yeah, I mean, Kishimo has kind of figured out, and it was. I don't know if this has been revealed previously, but now we know that the reversed curse technique stems from the head.
Yeah. I don't think that was revealed until this point, although I could be wrong. I think that's new information.
Yeah, it was definitely something I didn't realize, but then again, I also didn't realize that Kenjaku was Yuji's mother until somebody brought it up to me a few days ago.
Yeah.
So I do miss some things in this series from time to time, I will admit. But the whole it coming from the head just totally negates the whole invincibility to me. You're not invincible if I, can strike your brain hard enough. And Kashimo definitely tested that. We got even a panel of Hakari's head almost exploding, and
and blowing out the energy from his nose.
That was really cool. I enjoyed that a lot. And Takara even yelling, "You almost got me, Kashimo!" Like him acknowledging that he's remembered this person's name, and that he's having a great time too. So, kind of going back to what you're saying, especially with the poem in the beginning, Gege seems to be having a blast.
And I am not that much. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no. That's why I've been quiet again. I'll just say, what I really liked was the ending. Just because, not just to jump ahead, but that's just the thing that really resonated with me. Is based on what I said last time, I believe, I don't know, but I was hoping that the fight was going to end by this particular chapter, and it is definitely coming to a halt. But I really liked the whole the twist at the end, where even though he's doing a domain expansion, he's basically dead already. And I thought that was a great twist that I wasn't expecting, and it adds another flavor to something that we've seen over and over again, which I think is shows credit to Gege's ability to, even if he's doing the same thing, he's presenting different angles each time he revisits something. So I really like that. So I am looking forward to the next chapter. I just haven't been feeling this fight as much, but I'll just as that, and focus on the fact that I am excited about how this next chapter will turn out.
No, feel free to air out your grievances, man, because it gives us stuff to talk about. So it makes good.
I disagree. Positive, 100% positivity on this chapter. Perfect. Series is perfect. No complaints can be brooked.
Peak fiction.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, peak fiction. It's not mid. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I do. I really liked how this is turning out in the end. It's just one of my main problems is that they just seem too similar in the point where it's like, even if one of them dies, it's not something that they just enjoy fighting too much that I'm not feeling the tension at all. It's just like they're basically just playing. That's basically what it feels like to them.
Are you
And
still not feeling the tension at the end of this chapter? Or
no, because I just want I just want Hikari to die. Like,
oh, see,
like that.
I
That's
don't.
that's the sad thing. Like I was so into his character when he was mysterious and we didn't know much about him. And then once I really liked the big reveal. It's like, oh, this is why everyone's saying that he could be the next Gojo. It's like, whoa! But then once that mystery was revealed, it's like I'm not like I got it, and now it's like, so what for me? And I'm just excited so this fight to end because what I really want, and I think I've talked about it last time, is that I'm excited on the older sorcerers that died or were brought back, and I want Kashimo. I want to see more of him when he's not fighting, so that we can find out more about his past and where he's coming from. That's what I'm really interested in, and I guess it just all goes back to my earlier thing. Like I love fighting manga, but there needs to be. I like fighting, but I like the talking more. So I need So that's just my own personal preference.
Yeah, I have something to throw at you. What makes this fail compared to the Yuta fight that we had previously?
The Unify.
Yeah, what worked for the colony before this that this one doesn't?
Right. Yes. So that's a good question. The first, and yeah, I've mentioned it, is that the part that I had been waiting for the Culling Games, um, that was introduced during that particular fight. Bringing in the sorcerers or the people who were brought into the Culling Game who didn't want to be there. Um, that was just the first thing when the Culling Game was introduced. It's like, oh, it's not just going to be, it's not just all the powerful fighters in the universe being gathered together. It's like there's a lot of people caught up in there that don't want to be, and that was a really exciting prospect for me because, like, you could have like a fight of everyone fighting to the death, but it all actually maybe because I was relating it to like another manga that was a lot like this, or as the same type of dynamic of a death battle. The series I forgot who it was by, but Battle Royale.
Yeah,
Where all these
death
like
fight.
students, are forced to fight and kill each other, and a big part of it was them freaking out over the fact that they have to murder someone and the fact that they could be murdered, like dealing with that whole dynamic like that. That's what I thought. Maybe that was part of my problem, is that I was going in hoping it would be something like that. But so in that fight with Yuta, there was that dynamic that I was interested in, or that I had been hoping for. And then also, it's just the fact that Yuta's character and his relationship with Rika is just so intriguing that even when they're fighting, it's like I want to see how they work together, and I just really like Yuta as a character, and like if you just have so much more about him. And then there was also the whole hype of the movie that had come out around that time. It was just like, this is perfect setup.
Yeah,
And
that's a good
I'm
point
just not
because
feeling these
we were
characters.
just introduced to Hikari, so it does feel kind of strange that we've devoted almost like 6 chapters at least. Because we had the Charles Bernard fight before this, and then we've had this. So we've been on Hikari for a while, which is kind of a strange move for him being such a newer character, and he's. I know, Ben, you seem to enjoy Hikari's character from previous discussions. From if I'm
Yeah.
remembering correctly, I too am not really feeling the connection to him yet.
I just really like his whole vibe. I think,
You kind
you
of
know,
jealous now.
yeah. I don't think he's gonna last. I think he's dead at the end of this fight. Honestly, I think the next chapter is gonna open with like, Kashimo being like, "What domain expansion?" Then the domain expansion is just gonna immediately collapse because he's dead. Which will be sort of like it will fall in line with AA's trolling tendencies and stuff. But I just thought I thought he was a really cool character. I think like he was like a stereotypical tough guy, but like it was clear that there was more going on with him a bit. Like how in his fight with Charles, he sort of like went along with Charles's like desire to like have him be bad guy, and like
Yeah, that was good.
I just felt there was like a lot more there, and like he was a much more interesting character than he seemed at first. So I was excited to see how that developed, but I think he's just dead here. I
Dead man
like
walking.
yeah, I mean maybe there's something in the idle death gamble that can like preserve him in some way, and maybe that's why it's called the idle death gamble. But I feel like he's just dead. And it's a real shame because I really liked his character. And I like him a bit more than Hakari, actually, even though Hakari has the potential for more flashbacks. So I hope I'm wrong, but it just, the end of this chapter felt to me like that was the case. So.
Well, what I think could be really interesting, like you said that it could they get in the domain expansion and Akari's dead and it just falls. Like I'm one way that could make it really interesting for me at least, as if he can only survive so long as the domain expansion exists. So it's like if it could be portrayed as him like living on borrowed time, like that could be a very dark type of deal where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna be dead after this, and that's kind of sad.
I mean, the only issue with that is like it takes away Akari's like biggest weakness, right? Like one of the only weaknesses to his technique is that while he's setting up the jackpot, he's vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he couldn't die like while the domain expansion was up, then he'd just be even more busted than he already is. So
that is true. Yeah,
because I mean, at this point, I mean, it's been established if he does launch his domain expansion and it's a success, won't that just heal his wound?
Yeah, but like that's good, right? That's good. I guess he could probably get one more jackpot off potentially in the time it takes for him to like die. Because and that might be what he's building too.
Possibly, because I see this going two ways. Like, if that happens, and then he's healed, and that's kind of the difference between these two characters. And the thing that I'm kind of disappointed with Hakari so far is he's given potentially unlimited cursed energy to use, but he's been fighting Kashimo for at least like 12 minutes at this point. And he hasn't been able to like deliver a big enough hit or damage. Like so far we haven't seen him like channel the energy into like a super powerful attack. He just seems like somebody who can't be, kicked, or they can't be killed unless his head explodes or something like that, which is, a great ability in and itself, but Kashimo seems to need something a little bit bigger to take them down. And so far, Hakari hasn't shown us that he can do that. Like he can...
I feel like I disagree a bit there because I feel like his power is already strong. Like you can kill pretty much any enemy by using his power. It's just how long it takes to do it, right? Like I feel like his fighting technique is good enough to kill Kashimo like over a couple rounds of just invincibility because he's a strong fighter. So it's not necessarily about having a super powerful attack, which maybe he has that. Maybe if he gets a certain combination of spins in the pachinko machine, maybe he gets a super powerful attack, but it just sort of felt to me like his ability was busted enough without a big attack, and he doesn't really need one. So
I would just say to go back on something that what Jason you were describing. I actually like that aspect where even though Hakari is basically unkillable right now for the most part, that he still can't defeat Kashimo. And it just goes to show, at least for me, that it just shows how strong Kashimo is. Like he's like Hakari should be like dominating right now because he can fight more freely without worrying that he like trying to preserve his life type of deal.
Right.
So he's hindered by all that, and it just like I actually really like that aspect of this fight, just because he should be winning, but he's not, and it's just a good way of showing how strong Kashimo is without actually stating it outright or being like, "I'm more powerful than you" type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is cool, and it is hyping his character and his potential going forward once Hakari finally dies. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Oh, it
just in
hurts
our
every time.
I just think in our last discussion we came up with that theory you liked so much that you're hoping that Hakari dies and Kashimo moves on to other culling game circles.
yeah, or just to like, I do like his search, the idea that he's searching for Sukuna. Like it just like he actually has a mission other than just killing everyone. Like that is intriguing to me. I mean, it's not as intriguing as Euro was. It's because I'll always be a Euro fanboy. But yeah, I mean, it's just and just the fact that he's an ancient sorcerer like that. I just like that dynamic.
Yeah.
A lot. I'm excited to see where that takes us with him.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed the flashback that the last chapter ended with, and I too wish that we could just stay there and learn more about old Kenjaku and stuff like that. But I said in the last discussion, I kind of think that was all we were going to get when it came to that flashback, because it just kind of set up everything we needed. Like, it set up Kenjaku establishing two jujutsu sorcerers for this thing, Pompadour guy and Kashimo. Yeah, I'm just not sure like where it's gonna go from here, because I think it'd be really anticlimactic if I was gonna say the other way I see this fight ending is if it's a double KO, like if Hakari doesn't necessarily 100% heal himself from this. I'm almost wondering if because at least the fan translations are saying bet even if you die, that's the gambler's way. So it's essentially saying like, yeah, he's dead, but he might be able to do something to to Kashimo before he dies. So I think it would be pretty interesting if he doesn't heal from this, but I feel like it would be really anticlimactic and kind of unsatisfying if both of them are KO'd here. Because I felt like they established so much for Hakari, and they've made Kashimo as much of a threat as they have done so far. It would be kind of a waste to just have them both die at this point.
I mean, I feel like the line about this is like the way of the gambler to like die or whatever, or I forget the exact line, but I feel like that line isn't about like his death unlocking a new ability for him. I feel like it's just more like to characterize him more, where
Oh yeah,
like
I actually really like that line.
Yeah, like, and I feel that line especially like contributes to the theory that he's just gonna die at the start of the next chapter, because he's got nothing left in the tank. He's just gonna die in a couple seconds, but he's starting his domain expansion anyways because he's gonna gamble that he can get one more jackpot potentially before dying. But I think he's just dead. I think that's what that line is for. Not to be like, now that I'm dying, this unlocks a new ability that I can use to KO my opponent. I feel like that wouldn't really fit that well.
Glad that you brought up that last line, Ben. Just because I really feel like that it also put Hakari in a more tragic light. Just because we don't know too much about his character, but the fact that his domain expansion is based on gambling, it's probably like he has that type of addiction or that personality. And it's just the fact that that particular line, I don't remember what it was exactly, but it did create this impression that all major addictions for people, it is something. I'm trying not to be negative or anything, but that it can be something that you just do and do and do, even till your last breath, and that's kind of that. It was creating that type of impression. So it did, and I can't believe didn't remember this because it made me like his character a lot more because it just put him in that tragic light where it's like, yep, I was destined to do this because that's what gamblers do, type of deal. So it was a very sad and kind of sobering moment.
Yeah, it also kind of like, I didn't realize this until you said this, but like Hakari's powers itself sort of is about that sort of just sit down at a slot machine and just plug away like forever, you know?
Yeah.
Because Hakari's powers are, you know, gamble until you get a jackpot, and then you get like 4 minutes of being on top of the world. And then going back
that's
to the
dark.
gamble again.
Like you lose that high? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
which is actually, it gives me a much deeper appreciation for his powers now.
Good point,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, I didn't think about that either.
Whew.
Yeah, this got real deep.
I guess I like this chapter now a lot more than
Oh man, I hope Hakari doesn't die, guys.
I know. It's like, I want him to live.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow. Seems like it's in the cards.
Yeah, as far as plot goes, I mean they haven't given us more Kashimo plot wise to really like grab onto to be curious to see other than his hunt for Sukuna. But I think we've said that in previous discussions. As much as we would like the plot to do something unexpected and Hakari die and Kashimo's the one to win, I don't feel like they've given us enough Kashimo personality to make it so he's going to be a long-standing character. But
I don't think they need to.
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't know. I hope Gege surprises me, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like just having that sort of introduction to him. I feel that that's all you need. But I don't know. That's just I'm very easily pleased. So
actually going back to what you were saying a while ago, Jason. You know how you were saying that you wanted there to be more flashbacks, but that the way it's being written or the way things are being presented is that's basically what we'll probably just get of Kashimo's past.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really unfortunate because I do agree with you, and it's just, and again, like we're still in the middle of the calling games. We probably haven't seen even half of all of the fighters there, and we probably won't since they're probably were killed or something. But it's like, why? My question is, why would you create this calling game where you bring sorcerers back from the dead or ancient sorcerers, and them not exploring their past? Like, what's the purpose? I mean, like, it's cool and all if that's all you do, I guess. But it's like, there's so much more you can work with if you're going to be bringing back these ancient fighters. Like, there's got to be. We gotta see more.
Yeah, it's honestly an opportunity to fill out your lore and the history of the world that Gege has created here. So yeah, I mean, again, I hope I am wrong. I would love for more Kashimo flashback stuff, but I mean, if the fight ends next chapter with Hakari getting his jackpot and being like, haha, I win, and then he just punches Kashimo in the face once, and then that's the end of Kashimo. Like, I would that flashback was all we needed, information wise, which is kind of something I'm struggling with in this chapter. I mean, me and Ben had a very long One Piece discussion earlier because we had a lot to talk about. Because with each new chapter of that, it usually reveals a lot of information that correlates to a bunch of other stuff that's going on. This chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, though, and even the last couple chapters, haven't done a whole lot to really give us more information on the world other than that Kashimo flashback. I think the one thing we learned in this is the reverse technique spawns from the head. Other than that, these guys have just been throwing fists for like the last 3 chapters. So I think that's kind of why I'm continuing to lose steam with this. And I'm going to be honestly a little disappointed if next chapter starts up and then Hakari just heals again and then we get a whole nother chapter of just fist flying. Like, I want this fight to end because I want to move on to other things.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I understand that tendency. I'm just sort of like, and maybe it's a benefit of like just, I mean, I'm following so many different series that like, you know, I can check in for a chapter of JJK and be like, oh yeah, okay, the fight's still going on. Cool. The fight went to here. That's awesome. And then just move on to the next series that I'm reading.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't really need all my series to sort of like have these major sort of revelations and just big steps forward every chapter. And so it's like I feel like as a whole this fight has been done very well. And on reread, you know, it will read very well because it'll feel a lot quicker than it has been.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've said it in previous discussions too, but very excited to watch this animated. Hope we get to this point of the anime. Hopefully they don't like stop doing JJK anime, because
like they did with The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think JJK is a lot more popular.
Yeah,
it is.
Oh yeah, especially when the anime kicks back up and we get Shibuya animated.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be nuts. Like, I'm excited for all the anime onlys just to lose their minds.
Yeah. All those people saying JJK is mid will change their minds.
I love that.
Yeah, well, that's the joke, right? That's the joke where everyone's like, oh, you know, if you're of the opinion that JJK isn't mid, you're a manga fan.
An anime fan.
I think that the series was good even before Shibuya.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely one of those people. I hate calling other series mid or something because people online just post that stuff just to make other people feel or enjoy their stuff less, and that's I think one of the worst things you can do.
Yeah, no, and I mean, anime and manga communities are definitely like even more gatekeepy than most. I mean, like, you know, it's even like you watch a show and it's like, oh, but I'm a light novel reader, and so that's the true enjoyer of the show. You got to read the light novels.
Oh man.
And like I don't know, it's just gatekeeping. You know, to all our viewers who gatekeep, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's just,
or you could just talk to me. You know, don't do it, Steven. Stop it.
Find his email and his Twitter. He'll read all the messages. But yeah, I don't know. I think the world can be a pretty cruel, awful place where terrible things happen in people's lives. So let people enjoy things, because you never know what else they've got going on in their life. You know, just the world needs more smiles. So.
Oh man, that just reminds me of that Robin Williams quote, where it's not one of his more profound ones, but like he was saying, like always be nice to everyone you meet because you never know that, you know, whatever they're carrying or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's to sum that line up too. Just like everyone's having a day. Even the guy who's like flipping you off for going a little too slow on the road, he might be rushing to his sick kids at home or something. Like, you just gotta have some more patience for people, and the internet has made that a lot harder to do. But that's besides the point. JJK, what I'm hoping happens next, if Hakari does just instantly heal from this, I would love it if Kashimo tries this move again, but then it doesn't work. And then we go back to like the lightning rod that Kashimo set up, and Panda's head is on top of it. Like Panda somehow still is able to move, still relevant, and ends up like canceling out an attack that Kashimo needs. I think that'd be great.
That would be funny.
Yeah, but I guess any other thoughts on this chapter or what you guys hope will happen next?
I mean, for me, like, I know there's thoughts on this chapter, but I hope that Hakari isn't dead. I mean, I think he will be, but I can still dream. I can hope. So I'm just gonna put my hope out there. But I think every part of me just says, yeah, he's dead. You know.
Yeah,
So
it's a hard thing for me to tell because I think Hakari has more relevance to the plot. Like he has more for his character that he can do and more relevance. But I think the story would be more exciting if he died in Kishimo.
yeah, no, like story wise, the move is for him to die. So that's why I'm like, yeah, he's probably just gonna die. Ah,
Well, especially after that, the last readings that we got out of, that final line, it's just like he's put in such like when you paint someone that tragically, and again, this is coming from someone that doesn't like it when characters are killed off willy nilly, and I think that Gege was able to create an instance where a death now would be perfect.
yeah,
and
like
that is something that I usually don't say, because as I usually go, I keep them alive, make them suffer. But no, that this is
yeah,
perfect setup. Gege did a good job with that.
Oh man, I'd almost hope that the next chapter starts off like 20 minutes later, and maybe Hikari's lady friend, like, oh, last I knew, or Charles shows up, and they're like, oh yeah, was something supposed to go on over here, and they find Panda's head still alive and kicking, and yeah,
You want Panda?
Hikari's dead. I think it'd be interesting if this is the end of the fight. He tried the domain expansion and it just fell apart, and we find this all out from the next person who walks onto this scene and just sees the blood and the wreckage. And then hopefully we pick up on the next set of characters that Kashimo will just walk up on. But there's still so many characters that I would love to see show up in this arc, like Maki, Kanjaku, Tengen.
I mean, I do think that they're going to show up in the culling game at some point in like a later colony. Because I mean, when was the last time we saw Maki? Like after her big awakening to her new abilities and killing her entire family. Like,
Did she end up rendezvousing with them during the Tengen? It was right before the culling game. I don't remember.
I don't think so. I don't think.
I don't think she was there. No.
So yeah, and that's actually a fight I would love to see is Kashimo versus Maki.
I mean, I want to see anyone versus Maki. Maki
Yeah.
is like Maki easily shot up to like my top characters after her whole thing killing her entire family.
You see, I was a huge Maki fan even when she was just established because I'm a huge underdog fan, and the whole idea, it was kind of what I thought they were going to do with My Hero Academia in the very beginning. I was just like, okay, the story is going to center around a young boy who doesn't have quirks, and he's going to somehow become the number one villain without, or the number one hero without quirks. All right, let's do this. And then it quickly didn't do that. Maki is almost that of this series, and so I've really enjoyed her arc, and finally she got everything I needed her to get to be a force to be reckoned with in this story. And oh boy, when manga people get to that, or when anime people get there, oh man.
I mean, that's my like most anticipated fight in like any show and whatever to get animated is that fight, because like I mean, it was an awesome fight, and also like it was unfinished in the manga, right? Like there were panels and stuff that were just sort of sketches almost, because they just didn't have time to finish it.
Yeah.
And that's why he hired me. Is that I mean,
delete this. Delete this.
Yeah. Don't let that part go through. Yeah. But, yeah. So.
Well, yeah. So we're excited for anime.
Yeah.
And that actually brings me back to this chapter. I'm thinking the last 3 to 4 chapters would be able to fit in one episode.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because it's just
That's usually the standard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I should have thought about that before I said that.
Listen, we're talking about like you're talking to One Piece fans here.
Oh boy, yeah.
where the
Or-
standard is like 1 chapter per episode.
Yeah,
That's just
One Piece
that's
and
just
why
old
I-
Dragon Ball Z fans. So
Yeah, this is why I'm not a fan of the One Piece anime, except for like episode like 10-15, I think it was.
honestly, I think 17 was really good too. The anime just likes to deliver fantastic moments here or there. I can see why people are anime only watchers of One Piece. Sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's just like, okay, we just spent 10 minutes pulling this little girl's cheek. Let's not do that.
Yeah, this is why I could never. I mean, we're getting off topic here, but
Yeah.
but
Check out our
this is why
One
I
Piece
could never do it.
podcasts for Mega Manga Mondays. They are fun.
Yeah, for the manga, which is the superior way to consume One Piece. But anyways, JJK. So those were the final thoughts that we're doing, right? So, Steven, do you have any?
Yeah. Unless you guys have any final thoughts or theories on where we're going next, we can go ahead and move into recommendations and plugs.
Well, I mean, I would just say that I'm hoping that once this fight ends, and you guys were covering it basically, but with Maki, but I would like to return to a more established character, just because we've been having a lot of instances where we're introduced to these new characters who are fighting, and while that can be invigorating, it's starting to lose its appeal. So it would be nice to get back to, and specifically for me, I'd like to get back to Megumi, just because I said it last podcast episode, but just because he was picked up by Angel, who has the ability to free Gojo
Yes.
from the realm that he's been in for like forever now. So it'd be great to explore that particular area of the current game, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, pacing wise, I feel like that would be the most appropriate because it feels like we've been away from Megumi for a while. Same with Yuji, to be honest. But yeah, I hate to say it, but I feel like we were saying the same thing the last podcast. This fight, I mean, we've just spent so much time with Hakari, this new established character, that it's hard to feel super invested in it. Especially because we feel like the most exciting thing that can happen is he dies, and Kashimo.
I mean,
moves
I
on.
don't think that's the most exciting thing that can happen. I think that's what's going to happen. But more exciting things can happen. It's just what do we think the story's going to be?
Yeah.
I love Hakari, or I loved Hakari. if he dies, but
If he dies,
It's like
you need to go get your
you-
first tattoo. Just get a
Yeah.
big Hakari on your back.
Well, Ben, you're like your love for Hakari is like Jason's love for Charles Bernard. No,
I'm not super attached to Charles. I just was very interested in his abilities, and I feel like the way that Gege wrote Charles and ended that fight, I feel like he's in the back pocket and could just appear at any point to help out. But I don't see how he'd be much help against Kashimo at this point. At the beginning of the fight, I was hoping that Charles is waiting in the wings just for the right moment to strike or something, but it's been pretty well established that Kashimo is almost the exact opposite of Charles Bernard when it comes to fighting. Like, he barely has any fighting skills. He's kind of relying on his power, while Kashimo has ridiculous fighting abilities and is brilliantly using their power, like, and the very precise moments that they need to. So, yeah, I don't think Charles Bernard is done with the story yet, but I don't see how he'd be very helpful right now.
yeah, I'd agree with that.
But yeah, I guess we'll go and wrap up this episode of Mega Manga Mondays for Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 188. I am Jason Hahn, and I'm a writer for Screen Rant. We'll go ahead and move into recommendations and plugs. Check out Screen Rant for video game news, movie news, and comic news. My buddies here write very interesting, introspective articles about new manga chapters, comic books, Marvel and DC. Check that out. Also, check out more Mega Manga Mondays episodes if you like series like One Piece, My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball Super, Boruto, and more. And follow us on Twitter at Manga Mondays. Steven, any recommendations, bud?
Let's see, for recommendations. I'll just say that I am increasingly getting even more invested in Chojin X by Sui Ashida, who's the mangaka for Tokyo Ghoul. This last arc, it was. I know for many, for Chojin X, it started off very oddly, and then it got really strong, and then there was a little bit of a lull for a lot of people. But these last few chapters, 6 or 7 chapters or so, have just been nonstop awesome. And this latest one really it's a milestone where everything is going to change from this moment on. Just because probably the big thing is that we now know what Chojin X means. So it just really puts everything into perspective. And what I love about Sui Ishida, his writing ability, he writes similarly to Fujimoto of Chainsaw Man, where there's a lot of gore, but at the same time they write almost like this is a literary novel. And I really enjoy that, where everything is kept artfully ambiguous, but not too over the top. And that's where we're left in the latest chapter of Chojin, is that we know what Chojin X means, but we don't really know what it's associated with. Try not to give anything away. Because ambiguity. And it's just beautifully well done. It's not in your face. And it's that type of thing where it's it's up to you to try and figure it out. And I really appreciate that.
Actually today we're off the heels of a lot of incredible nerdy announcements within the last couple of weeks with video games and such. But Viz actually just had their own share of announcements this morning. And
it's they just spewed them out boom, boom, boom.
One of them was for Chojin X. It looks like Volume 1 is officially coming out in spring of 23. I just posted it in the Discord chat. At least I think that's what this announcement is. But they had major Chojin X announcement. So it sounds like Viz is starting to get a lot more behind Chojin X from the creators of Tokyo Ghoul. So who knows? We might even get an anime someday. I know a lot of people love Tokyo Ghoul, so I think it feels like just a matter of time.
And I know, Ben, you'd probably like this too. I don't know if you saw the news, one of many, when Viz just went crazy with sharing stuff. But they are... Yeah, so they're actually doing 2 special collections of Fujimoto's earlier work.
Ooh.
And I know that
Chainsaw Man.
You introduced me to... Yeah. I mean, you beyond Fire Punch, all of his obscure stuff. Because I know you showed me one of them about the girl the hot girl was based on. Yeah, and so that's going to be included. Yeah, she's on the cover of one of them.
That is very good to have, because I'm not sure any place where you can officially read that in America. So, it is somewhat interesting to read. If you have read Chainsaw Man, I highly recommend reading the sort of one shot.
Yeah,
that was, I forget what it was. I should have remembered the name before I said this, but there's, I think it's something of the future. But anyway, it follows this boy and his sister, and one of those characters may be important for part 2 of the Chainsaw Man manga as an important prototype for what might be coming. So
I remember when you shared that with me a few months ago. You're like, oh yeah, I think we were this character that is appearing or is going to be more prevalent in part 2 like was created off of this character, and I was like, ooh, really? And I ended up jumping in, and it was I just Fujimoto. Yeah, very very well written. Uh, just love overall style. And yeah, I'm excited to actually see what the official translation comes across, because like I know the scans that are online, the unofficial ones, it's not well translated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of those, which is unfortunate the case for a lot of series that are translated by fans. Like some can be really good, and then some can be just utterly awful. And that's the case for a lot of manhwa too, like the which is basically manga from South Korea. I was gonna say North Korea, but that's crazy.
Oh
But
boy,
yeah,
what those stories would be
yeah,
like.
Yeah.
yeah. Usually, some of those translations can be really bad. So I would. So even for those who have already read this one shot, it would be really worth reading the actual official translation, since the fan one wasn't that great.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that then.
Well, yeah,
I'm
I'd
actually
like to-
thinking of buying it, and I'm not really much of a buyer. I'm actually like buying it. I'm actually really thinking about getting it. So
Yeah, I
that's a
might.
big deal for me.
I need to check out the announcement, but I might be on the same train.
Nice. Well, Ben, any plugs or recommendations, buddy?
Yeah. So first for recommendations, let me think, because as I said, I follow a lot of series. So
Yeah.
I will say Akane Banashi is in a very very hype point. So
Oh, good. I know that's a
highly
newer
recommend.
series. I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy. I mean, I'm a sucker for all those sorts of like performance art, manga, sort of things, and it's just scratching that itch in spades. And it's in the middle of sort of like a tournament arc, but it's doing something very interesting with it. So I am very excited. Luckily, the series seems to be doing well in Japan. Like Oda,
Yeah.
the author of One Piece, did recommend it. So. Uh, it's pretty popular, so it will probably not get canceled anytime soon. And it's just really fun. So, just, it's not necessarily the standard sort of shonen fare, but give it a chance, and you may find yourself really enjoying it.
Well, I'll say I've read the first few chapters, and well, no, for me, the first chapter was one of those where I just like would just be a beautiful one shot in and of itself. I was actually the same way with oh wow, I'm thinking Earth Child. Like I felt that like especially now would be better as a one shot. But
Yeah, except
yeah,
with Earthchild, I agree. Like, why was this more than a one shot?
yeah, it's kind of like like it was promising. Like even the second and third chapters, it's like, oh, okay, this is okay. I see where they're going, but then it kind of turned into like, Jack from The Incredibles type of thing.
Yeah, except less interesting.
Yeah,
I do think that series is wrapping up soon, though. So as someone who actually reads it for some reason.
Well, all right. And
And also I
yeah.
have a plug for I have a YouTube channel called YGO from Zero, which sort of looks at historical formats of the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out.
well, I'm actually curious. Like, why is it so? Like, I always know what your YouTube channel is, but why is it named the way that it is?
Just because like YGO is a common abbreviation for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, it is. Okay.
And yeah. And I think there are like some issues if you like put Yu-Gi-Oh in your channel name, like
Right.
because I'm not officially affiliated with the company.
Um,
So I don't know. I think there was something where like someone else had put Yu-Gi-Oh in their channel name and they had to change the name of the channel. So I just did YGO.
okay.
So maybe that will be better. But I mean, I have a small channel, so I don't think it matters. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of why in a lot of our thumbnails I'm still using official manga panels and stuff, and I'm gonna keep doing that until somebody tells me to stop.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I think that'll about do it with this episode of Mega Manga Mondays. As I said, follow us on Twitter. Find us on Screen Rant as well. But let us know how you feel and if there's any other series you'd like us to cover. But incredibly excited to see what happens next on JJK and several of the other series we've been talking about, because you guys are fun to talk to. Thanks for your time today.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no problem.
Likewise.
Bah, you guys are so nice. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed Mega Manga Monday, and we'll see you next time.